It always feels good when you are appreciated. SLT non-stop broadband. Free loyalty data added as you stay connected.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Wings clipped. Former Sri Lankan CEO and wife surrender to the CID and are remanded on money laundering charges. Positive signs. Coronavirus deaths rise to 563, the highest single-day tally in China, while figures from the rest of the world decline. End in sight. Cabinet announces end to 50,000 unemployed graduates' woes from the 1st of March. Red notice. The Public Utilities Commission follows up yesterday's demand with a new letter and a deadline for the CEB's power outage explanation. All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Thursday, the 6th of February 2020.
මේ සීන් එකෙන් කට් වෙන්න. ඇන්ටිජර් මවුත් වොෂ් සමගින් එන ක්ලෝස් අප් ජෙල් එක ස්ටෝරි එක ස්ටාර්ට් කරන්න.
Hi.
Hi.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamike Kanaka. Let's start with the local stories. With novel coronavirus figures for China now standing at 28,018 cases and 563 deaths globally, a total of 25 countries have been compromised, with 194 confirmed cases reported so far. However, with China, the number of cases outside of the worst-hit Hubei province appears to be in a state of decline, with some observers calling it an early sign that the Chinese government's aggressive containment measures may be working to limit exposure limit outside the exposure nationally and globally as well. China currently possesses 99% of the current confirmed cases.
The latest figures on the novel coronavirus outbreak coming out of China stand at 28,018 cases of infection, with 563 deaths as of last night. China's National Health Commission in its daily briefing reported this figure in 31 provincial level regions on the Chinese mainland. According to the report, 1,153 patients have been cured and discharged from hospital. However, there still remains 24,702 suspected cases, with another 26,302 patients quarantined for treatment, including 3,859 cases in serious condition. The report also added that so far there have been 282,813 cases identified as having had close contact with infected patients and 186,354 currently under observation. While virus cases within Hubei province are still not showing signs of decreasing, a gradual decrease has been recorded in the rest of China, which some experts say may be an early sign that the Chinese government's aggressive containment may have worked to limit the virus's spread nationally and globally as well. This was echoed by World Health Organization Director Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, who stated on Monday that if it weren't for China's efforts, the number of cases outside of China would have been very much higher than the 191 cases reported from 25 countries. Meanwhile, Japan's health ministry reports that 10 more people aboard the quarantined Diamond Princess cruise ship have tested positive for novel coronavirus, bringing the total to 20. The cruise ship passengers tested positive so far, as per Japanese data, are 4 Japanese, 2 Americans, 2 Canadians, 1 New Zealander and 1 Taiwanese. In this backdrop, the government of Taiwan has banned all international cruise ships from docking at the island with immediate effect. The World Dreamliner cruise ship that is now docked in Hong Kong was earlier turned away from Taiwanese ports, with 3 passengers confirmed as showing coronavirus symptoms. Meanwhile, Malaysia today reported its first case of person-to-person transmission after a sister of a Malaysian who returned from Singapore last month tested positive. As global fears grow, 25 airlines in total have reduced flights to and from China, while 9 countries are currently denying entry to Chinese travellers. The World Health Organization has announced a $675 million strategic preparedness and response plan to fight the spread of the virus globally and to protect states with weaker health systems. The program will run through the months of February and through to April. Meanwhile, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has pledged $100 million to the efforts, a massive $90 million increase from its initial $10 million pledge. An initial tranche of $20 million will be directed to the US Center for Disease Control and to the World Health Organization.
සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගුවන් මගීන් ලංකාවට දවසකට 15000ක් පමණ ලංකාවට දවසකට ගුවන් මගීන් එනවා. ඒ ගුවන් මගීන් සංඛ්‍යාව දවසකට 10000කට පමණ සීමා වෙලා තියෙනවා. එයිනේ මේ ප්‍රමාණය අඩුවීම බොහෝ වෙලාවට තියෙන්නේ චීන ජාතිකයින්ගේ පැමිණීමේ අඩුවීමක් බව තමයි පේන්නේ. ඊයේ දවස ගත්තොත් චීන ජාතිකයින්ගේ පැමිණීම පුද්ගලයන් 46කට සීමා වුණා. අද වෙනකොට 30කට පමණ සීමා වෙලා තියෙනවා. වරායවල් වලට ඒ නැව් පැමිණීමේදී චීන ජාතිකයන් පැමුණුනේ නැහැ. ඒ නැව් වල ආවේ ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාව ඇතුළු බටහිර රටවල් වලින් ආපු නැව්. අපි වරායවලුත් අපේ සෞඛ්‍ය ආරක්ෂිත ක්‍රමවලට අපි සම්බන්ධ කරා.
අද වන විට සිටිනවා මේ සැක කටයුතු රෝගීන් 16ක්. කොළඹ උණ රෝහලේ 3 දෙනෙක්, කරාපිටිය 2 දෙනෙක්, නුවර ජාතික රෝහලේ 4 දෙනෙක්, ඊගම රෝහලේ 2 දෙනෙක්, රාගම ශික්ෂණ රෝහලේ 1 කෙනෙක්, ගම්පහ දිස්ත්‍රික් මහ රෝහලේ 1 කෙනෙක්, ඒ වගේම බදුල්ල පළාත් රෝහලේ 1 කෙනෙක්, කුරුණෑගල ශික්ෂණ රෝහලේ 1 කෙනෙක් සහ යාපනයේ රෝහලේ 1 කෙනෙක් වශයෙන් වරින් වර වාර්තා වුණත් අපේ එක රෝගියෙක් පමණයි වාර්තා වුණේ.
Meanwhile, the Chinese patient receiving treatment at the National Institute of Infectious Diseases is reportedly recovering, according to hospital sources.
Now, former Chief Executive Officer of Sri Lankan Airlines, Kapila Chandrasena, and his wife, who were arrested after they surrendered to the CID this morning, were remanded until the 19th. On Monday, the Attorney General instructed the director of the CID to obtain arrest warrants for their apprehension on charges of money laundering in the refleet deal between the national carrier and aircraft manufacturer Airbus.
Former Sri Lankan Airlines Chief Executive Officer Kapila Chandrasena and his wife Neomali Vijayanayaka, who were arrested in the Airbus money laundering case after they surrendered to the Criminal Investigation Department today, were remanded until the 19th of February by the Colombo Fort Magistrate. On the 3rd of February, the Fort Magistrate had issued arrest warrants against Kapila Chandrasena and his wife on charges of money laundering. The arrest order came in the wake of revelations in documents filed in a British court about payments made to the wife of Kapila Chandrasena by Airbus in a sales contract in 2013. British court documents reveal that prior to the purchase of this aircraft from Airbus, the wife of the former Sri Lankan Airlines CEO acted as an agent for the procurement of 14 Airbus aircraft, and Airbus had offered $16 million as a bribe to her. Meanwhile, $2 million out of the $16 million had been deposited to a company based in Brunei. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa had ordered the Criminal Investigation Department to immediately launch a probe into the matter. The documents submitted to the CID by the Attorney General stated that Neomali Vijayanayaka had deposited $2 million on the 27th of December in 2013 to a Singaporean-based company Biz Solutions, where she bears the sole directorship. The Attorney General also says that the $2 million were withdrawn on 4 occasions from the Singaporean account and was then transferred to an account of Kapila Chandrasena's in the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. The Singaporean account was later terminated on the 25th of November in 2015. The Attorney General had then instructed the director of the CID to obtain an arrest warrant for the former Sri Lankan Airlines CEO and his wife. 3 days after the warrants were issued for their arrest, Kapila Chandrasena and his wife surrendered to the CID this morning and were questioned for 5 hours. They were then produced before the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court this afternoon. State Counsel told the court on behalf of the CID that when the suspects were questioned last September regarding this issue, no information on the bank accounts were provided. He added that the $2 million that was credited to the Singaporean account was later transferred to a Sri Lankan account and then a foreign account. He also said that the Sri Lankan account holders needed to be questioned and that granting bail to the suspects will be a hindrance to ongoing investigations. He added that the CID had information regarding how the 2 individuals received the $2 million. Colombo Fort Magistrate Ranga Disanayaka noted that the offences come under both money laundering and the bribery acts. In consideration of the submissions made by the 2 parties, the magistrate then remanded the 2 suspects until the 19th of February.
In the meantime, United National Party MP Sujiva Senasinghe also delved into the matter, saying that acts of fraud and corruption similar to that of the former CEO of the national carrier, Kapila Chandrasena, has made the carrier a burden on the country.
Regarding Sri Lankan Airlines, we had queries from the beginning, actually from the COPE. We continuously questioned the CEO of Sri Lankan Airlines, Mr. Kapila Chandrasena, and always he managed to actually evade the questions. But after Kapila Chandrasena and the gang took over, after Mahinda Rajapaksa actually took over Sri Lankan Airlines from Emirates, we started making losses up to about 25 billion to 30 billion a year. And as a result, we ended up with 450 billion lost to the country. And no law enforcement agency took this up. And numerous occasions we raised this, especially in COPE, but legal actions are not taken against the culprits who made these losses. Germany and England, and I think it's France, 3 countries have come to a settlement for Airbus to pay something over $3 billion to those respective countries and to settle the matter. But this is a criminal matter. The Sri Lankan government had to pay, if they wanted to cancel the purchase order, Airbus offered $5 million as a settlement of that cancellation of that agreement. And we have in numerous occasions on numerous subjects, we have actually questioned the government, but most of the time we were not able to find sufficient evidence for these allegations because the most of these bribes are paid by foreign companies and foreign governments. We are not privy to that information. So it's a very difficult question how to revive the Sri Lankan Airlines. It has become a great burden to the country.
The official cabinet media briefing was held this morning where the latest decisions approved by the government were announced. Chief among the decisions announced were the recruitment of 50,000 unemployed graduates from the 1st of next month into the public sector as per President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's election pledges. Cabinet co-spokesperson Minister Bandula Gunawardena revealed that the graduates will begin a one-year training period from the stipulated date, which will include leadership training, following which they will be appointed to positions on par with their qualifications. The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval for the recruitment of 50,000 graduates who have been unemployed since 2012. In addition, the Cabinet has also approved a proposal to allow medical certificates for light vehicle licence applications to be obtained from 150 national and base hospitals across the country. Previously, this certificate could only be obtained from the National Transport Medical Institute in Colombo. A decision has also been taken for the setting up of a fruit export processing centre as well as a project for the processing of graphite obtained from the Kahatagaha graphite mines into value-added products in a public-private partnership model.
මාර්තු මාස පළවෙනි දින සිට 2021 මාර්තු මාස පළවෙනි දින දක්වා පූර්ණ වර්ෂයක කාලයක් සඳහා පුහුණු කාලයක් ලෙස තමයි මේ සියලුම උපාධිධාරීන් බඳවගන්නේ. ඒ පුහුණු කාලය තුළ නායකත්ව පුහුණුව ඇතුළු අර තෝරගන්න ක්ෂේත්‍රයට ඒ දරුවා ලබලා තියෙන උපාධියට සරිලන රැකියාවක් සඳහා අවශ්‍ය ස්ථානගත පුහුණුවක් සහ වෘත්තියාභිමුඛ පුහුණුවක් ලබා දෙනවා සෑම උපාධිධාරියෙකුට. ඒ නිසා වර්ෂයක කාල පරිච්ඡේදය තුළ අභ්‍යාසලාභී උපාධිධාරියෙක් ලෙස තමයි සේවයට බඳවා ගන්නු ලබන්නේ. දෙක යම්කිසි ඈත පිටිසර දුෂ්කර ප්‍රදේශයක සේවා නියුක්ත වන විට ඒ සේවා නියුක්ත කරන ස්ථානයේ අවම වශයෙන් වර්ෂ 5ක කාලයක් ස්ථාන මාරුවීමකින් තොරව රැකියාවේ යෙදෙන්න ඕනේ. උසස් තාක්ෂණය පිළිබඳ උපාධියට සමාන ඩිප්ලෝමාවන් තිබෙනවා නම් ඒ අය පිළිබඳත් මේ රැකියා සැපීමේදී සලකා බලන්නට කියලා විශේෂ කැබිනට් පත්‍රිකාවේ සටහනක් ජනාධිපතිතුමා විසින් යොදලා තිබෙනවා. ඈත පිට ගම්මානවල පවා පසුගිය අවුරුදු 10 තුලම කිසිම සංවර්ධනයක් කෙරුන්නේ නැති පාරවල්. ඊයේ දිනේදී ගරු ජොන්සන් ෆර්නැන්ඩෝ මහාමාර්ග කටයුතු පිළිබඳ අමාත්‍යතුමා නව ආකාරයක කැබිනට් පත්‍රිකාවක් ඉදිරිපත් කළා. සමස්ත ශ්‍රී ලංකාව තුල කිලෝමීටර් ලක්ෂයක් ප්‍රතිසංස්කරණය කිරීම සඳහා වෙන යෝජනාව.
Now moving on with other local stories. Following the sudden power failures reported across several areas in Colombo and its suburbs on Monday, the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka yesterday wrote to the Ceylon Electricity Board demanding a report for the unscheduled outages, which have been labelled illegal as per Section 10 Condition 30 of the Electricity Transmission and Bulk Supply Licence issued to the CEB. In the latest development, the Commission has now sent a new letter that is, to the CEB, giving them until the 12th of February for the report to be submitted. It was revealed that the power failures, which led to much public outcry, was scheduled without obtaining prior approval from the Public Utilities Commission and at a time where sufficient fuel had been made available by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation on time, contrary to the CEB's reasoning of lack of fuel. According to the Public Utilities Commission, the new letter was sent in order to fast-track the CEB's explanation. The Government Medical Officers Association held a media briefing today where revelations regarding controversial drug purchase tenders were the order of the day. Secretary of the GMOA, Dr. Haritha Aludge, alluded that under former Health Minister Rajitha Senaratne, the government incurred losses of more than 20 billion rupees, twice the amount lost to the state from the bond scam.
Last year, pharmaceutical company Pharmace was caught out in a racket involving the relabelling of inferior drugs from Bangladesh, which were not registered in Sri Lanka. Accordingly, the National Medicines Regulatory Authority took a decision on Monday to suspend the company's operations in Sri Lanka.
ලංකාවේ ලියාපදිංචියවත් නැති බංග්ලාදේශ සමාගමකින් ගෙන්නන ප්‍රතිජීවක ඖෂධ තොගයක් ඊටාම කූට විදිහට ලේබල් වෙනස් කළා ලංකාවේ ලියාපදිංචි සහිත ලේබලයක් අලවලා වෙළඳපොළට නිකුත් කරන්න දරපු උත්සාහයක් සම්බන්ධයෙන් කෙෆටැක්සිම් කියන මේ එන්නත රෝගීන්ගේ ජීවිත බේරා ගැනීම සඳහා අවසන් අවස්ථාවේදී පාවිච්චි කරන ඊටාම ප්‍රබල ප්‍රතිජීවක ඖෂධයක්. ඒ ප්‍රතිජීවක ඖෂධයේ කුප්පි 20000ක් මේ විදිහට කූට ලෙස සකස් කරන අවස්ථාව අතටම අල්ලගන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් සාක්ෂි සහිතව සනාථ කරගන්න මේ වෙනකොට පුළුවන්කම ලැබිලා තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, the Auditor General had issued a special investigation report on procurements at the State Pharmaceutical Corporation in December 2019, and the findings of several irregularities in the purchasing process had been revealed. According to the report, a tender for the purchase of cancer drug had resulted in a 93 million rupee loss to the state, even though lower bids were received. The GMO further revealed details of more tenders issued during Rajitha Senaratne's tenure as Health Minister.
සිදු වෙලා තියෙන වංචාව රුපියල් බිලියන 20කට එහා පැත්ත. ඒතකොට මහ බැංකු බැඳුම් කර වංචාව වගේ පැහැදිලිව දෙගුණයක්. මේ සියලුම දූෂිත ගනුදෙනු රාජ්‍ය සේනානායක ඇමතිවරයාගේ ඍජු ආශිර්වාදයේ සහිතව තමයි සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශය ඇතුලේ සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. මේ රටම බලාපොරොත්තු වුණා නව රජයක් බිහි වුණාට පස්සේ මේ දූෂිත ගනුදෙනු එතනින් නතර වෙයි කියලා. මේ දූෂිත ගනුදෙනු නතර වෙන්නේ නැතුව ඉදිරියට මේ රජය යටතේ ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවායි කියන එක අපි හෙළි කළා. හොඳම උදාහරණය දෙසැම්බර් 16 වෙනිදා පිළිකා ඖෂධයක් සම්බන්ධයෙන් ටෙන්ඩරයක් නැවත මේ ෆාමේස් සමාගමට නිකුත් කරන ඖෂධ සංස්ථාවෙන් අඩුම මිල ගණන් ඉදිරිපත් කරපු ගුණාත්මක ඖෂධ තියෙන එකම ප්‍රමිති සහතික තියෙන රුපියල් 33ට ඖෂධය තියෙද්දී රුපියල් 69ට දෙගුණකටත් වැඩි මුදලකට ෆාමේස් වලට නිකුත් කරන මේ සමාගමට වර්තමාන ඖෂධ සංස්ථාව මම මේ කියන ටෙන්ඩරේ හරහා විතරක් රජයට වෙලා තියෙන පාඩුව රුපියල් මිලියන 5කට එහා පැත්තේ පිළිකා ඖෂධ මගඩිය විතරක් අපි අරන් ගත්තත් ජනාධිපති විශේෂ විමර්ශන කමිෂන් සභාවේ සාක්ෂි හරහා හෙළි වුණේ රාජ්‍ය සේනානායකත් එක්ක එකට ගනුදෙනු කරපු එකට කාලා බීලා හිටපු ඖෂධ සමාගම් වල නම් එක්තරා අවස්ථාවකදී ජනාධිපති කමිෂන් සභාවේ ප්‍රධාන සභාපති විනිශ්චයකාරතුමා අහනවා ඖෂධ නියාමන අධිකාරියෙන් සහ ඖෂධ සංස්ථාවේ නිලධාරීන්ගෙන් හැම ටෙන්ඩරයක්ම දෙන්නේ ෆාමේස්ලට නම් පුරවට ටෙන්ඩර් ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කළ ඒ කාලේ ගත කරලා නාස්ති කරන්නේ මොකටද කියලා අහන්න තැන සිද්ධ වුණා.
We'll be back right after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, Chief of Air Staff of the Pakistan Air Force, Air Chief Marshal Mujahid Anwar Khan, arrived in Sri Lanka last evening, and this morning he called on the Commander of Sri Lanka Air Force, Air Marshal Sumangala Dias. The meeting between the two Air Force chiefs was hosted at the Sri Lanka Air Force headquarters in Colombo. A cordial discussion with regards to the matters of bilateral interest was discussed between the two parties, and then Air Chief Marshal Khan was introduced to the members of the Sri Lanka Air Force management. Afterwards, the two chiefs exchanged mementos to mark the historical visit, and Air Chief Marshal Mujahid Anwar Khan also made a note in the special guest book at the Air Force headquarters.
I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for that. Secretary is carried to the White House.
The Attorney General has informed the Supreme Court today that the government is currently reviewing the Sri Lanka-Singapore Free Trade Agreement. The petition filed seeking a court order declaring that the Sri Lanka-Singapore Free Trade Agreement is against the Constitution was taken up before Supreme Court trial at bar consisting Justices Vijit Malalgoda, T.B. Dehidaniya and Preeti Padman Surasena. The Attorney General's department informed the court that the government is currently reviewing the agreement, and accordingly the court ordered the petition to be taken up again on the 13th of July and directed the State Council to inform the progress of the review on that day. The petition was filed by 8 parties, including the Government Medical Officers Association, stating that the Sri Lanka-Singapore FTA is completely contradictory to the Constitution of Sri Lanka and that the government has not obtained a proper approval of any manner from the Parliament before signing the agreement. China, meanwhile, said today that it will halve rates of additional tariffs on some U.S. products starting from the 14th of February in a bid to promote the healthy and stable development of China-U.S. economic and trade relations. The move will halve the 10% and 5% rates on a list of U.S. products subject to additional tariffs from the 1st of September last year. The list is part of a two-step tariff countermeasure targeting US products worth about $75 billion. According to the Chinese Ministry of Finance, its tariff slash comes after US side announced last month that it will halve the 15% additional tariffs on Chinese products worth $120 billion effective from the 14th of this month. Furthermore, the adjustment will mainly depend on future development in the economic and trade relations between the two countries, and that the Chinese side hopes both sides will work together towards ultimately removing all additional tariffs. In this backdrop, stock markets across the world gained, helped by record highs on Wall Street and this move off China, as investors bet that global economy would avoid long-term damage from the coronavirus. The blue-chip Chinese shares gained by 1.9%. Europe's stock 600 gained 0.4% to a record high, with a swath of strong earnings report helping. Now, meanwhile, indexes in Frankfurt, Paris and London made solid gains, rising between 0.3% and 0.7%. US stock futures rose by 0.5%. While MSCI World Equity Index, which tracks shares in 49 countries, gained 0.5%. Now, in the local markets, Sri Lanka's stocks ended 0.10% higher on Dialog Asiata and Carson Cumberbatch today. The all-share price index closed 6.20 points up at 5,948.27. The market has now gained for the second consecutive day. Market turnover was 570 million rupees, while 76 stocks gained and 48 fell. Dialog Asiata shares closed trading 20 cents up at 12 rupees and 70 cents, contributing most to the ASPI's gains. Now, here's a brief report on today's market performance.
In the bond market, the secondary market yield curve shifted slightly upward, while the overall market witnessed moderate volume. We saw a bit of foreign selling today, mainly in the short tenor maturity. In the stock market, the BOS actually ended on a mixed note, where we saw price appreciations in Dialog, Carson's and Brown's investment positively contributing to the gain of the market, which was just a mere 6 points up for the day. The SPI actually witnessed a volatile movement throughout the day, reaching an intraday low of 5913 points during the first hour of trading and an intraday high of 5954 during the latter part of the trading day. And before closing, it was finally ended at 5948 points. Crossings in Vidul Lanka, John Case Holdings and Commercial Bank contributed about 34% of the day's turnover, and we saw a foreign outflow in the equity market as well. It actually reversed the net inflow which we saw yesterday actually.
Now, in the currency market, the rupee was quoted weak at 181 rupees and 40 to 45 cents to the US dollar today, while bond yields gained. However, the rupee closed at 181 rupees and 35 to 40 cents to the greenback yesterday. Now, let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies during the day. We'll be taking a look at what's happening across the world on the other side of this break. Don't go away. US President Donald Trump has been cleared in his impeachment trial, ending Democrats' bid to remove him from office. Trump is the third US president to face an impeachment trial and the first to seek re-election after an impeachment trial. The US Senate acquitted President Trump of all charges relating to abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. Trump's legal team had, throughout the hearing, argued that the evidence supporting the charges against him were merely based on hearsay. In its historic vote, the Senate decided not to remove the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, from office on charges relating to abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. The Senate, run by the president's fellow Republicans, voted to acquit President Trump 52-48 on charges of abuse of power and 53-47 on obstruction of Congress. Only one Republican, Mitt Romney, joined the Democrats in voting for the president's conviction. President Trump will now become the first impeached president to seek re-election. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence said the Democrats had tried and failed to impeach President Trump because they did not want him to run for re-election in the upcoming presidential election.
And worst of all, these Democrats spent the last 3 years on one investigation after another. These do-nothing Democrats, we know, passed those articles of impeachment. They rushed this partisan impeachment through the House in a shameful attempt, now failed attempt, to overturn the will of the American people. You know, I really do believe that I think they tried to impeach this president because they know they can't defeat President Donald Trump in November of 2020.
Meanwhile, U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that she was impressed by Senator Romney's decision, calling it a bipartisan vote against Trump to stay in office.
Very impressed by Senator Romney's statement. Now the president has been a bipartisan vote against him staying in office.
Meanwhile, anti-Trump protesters took to the streets of New York City in response to President Donald Trump's impeachment acquittal. The protesters chanted slogans such as "Sham Trial" and "Flip the Senate." Phenomenal actor Kirk Douglas, who played the character of titular in the 1960 classic Spartacus, has died aged 103. The stage and screen actor's Hollywood career spanned across 7 decades. Born in New York in 1916, he rose to prominence during Hollywood's golden age, earning his first Oscar nomination for 1949 film Champion. Douglas was nominated for an Oscar 3 times for Champion in 1949, The Bad and the Beautiful in 1952, and Lust for Life in 1956. He eventually won the honorary award in 1996 in recognition of his 50 years in the industry. He faced difficulties in his personal life, narrowly surviving a helicopter crash in 1991 that left 2 people dead, while 5 years later he suffered a major stroke that affected his speech. He was also the father of Oscar-winning actor Michael Douglas. Now, Bangladesh is one step closer to being under-19 cricket world champions as they beat New Zealand to book their place in the Cricket World Cup final. Bangladesh won the toss and elected to bowl first. They managed to restrict New Zealand to a score of 211 for the loss of 8 wickets, with Beckham Greenall chipping in with a steady half-century. In response to the Black Caps' total, Bangladesh reached their target with 6 overs to spare. The innings was highlighted by a century by Mohammedul Hassan. Bangladesh will next face India in the final. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.